Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on, guys? It's Filthy and I'm back with another video. Back on the Season 21 PTR and looking at the Grace of Inarius, which is going to be the starting set for the Necro, talking about how the item changes affect this and how we can do a GR90 speed build with Corpse Explosion, which is quite a lot of fun. Now we'll go through all the items that have changed. Obviously it is PTR, so these things could get reworked, but I'm pretty confident that they won't and that this will probably stay. Before we do jump into it though, if you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. I've got plenty more PTR videos on the way, and as always guys, a thumbs up greatly brightens my day. So looking at Inarius, the 2-piece bone armor increases its damage by 1000%. That doesn't really mean very much. The 4-piece is where it gets interesting, and this is new for PTR and has been changed. So bone armor grants an additional 3% damage reduction per enemy hit. Now bone armor normally grants 30% damage reduction because it's 3% per stack, and normally it's a max 10 stacks. So with the Inarius 4-piece now we get 60% damage reduction, whereas it used to be 50. That's not much of a big deal, it's a small increase in toughness. But when we take the Wisdom of Kalon, we get 15 stacks of bone armor, which are all worth now 6% damage reduction. 6 times 15 is 90, and that is huge damage reduction for the Necromancer. To put this in context, it's about the same as wearing a Band of Might for the Barb and then sticking a Unity on. So 90% is pretty huge. Now, just putting this one item on, you go from 60 to 90% damage reduction. That's like increasing your toughness by a factor of 4, because instead of taking 40 points of damage, you're only taking 10, so really big item change. And the 6-piece of Inarius bone armor activates a swirling tornado of bone around the character. That will do damage, but it's not really going to hurt anything at GR90, it's going to just tickle it. But what happens is when you tag stuff with this bone-nado, they then take 10,000% extra damage. So we're going to juice up Corpse Explosion, and this has been changed now for this season. So it used to do, I think, around kind of 300-400%. It's now gone up to 10,000 or 1,050%. And then we're going to go for Close Quarter, which is a pretty damaging rune, so that's now up to 1,500%. So pretty big change for Corpse Explosion there. Now also reworked is the Grasp of Essence gloves. We're going to take these in the cube. Corpse Explosion deals up to 200%, and this stacks 5 times. Lasts 6 seconds, so provided you're killing stuff, then this buff will be up and active at all times, and it dumps out quite a lot of damage. Now also reworked for the season is the Jesseth set. So this used to be pet damage only, so the idea is you command your skeletons. When they are commanded, you will deal an extra 400% damage. The skeletons will also hop from enemy to enemy, so you shouldn't have to keep recasting them, but you do need to keep a little eye on them because they've got this gold bar that goes around them, and what will happen is if that gold bar drops off, you're no longer benefiting from this 400% increased damage. It's a little clunky to play, it just is the way that skeletons are, but it is the biggest modifier that we can get our hands on for the Corpse Explosion. Now we're going to take the Johnstone, which is a normal Corpse Explosion item, so after Land of the Dead is expired we get Macabre Knowledge stacks. These deal 200% extra damage, so we get 50 juiced up Corpse Explosions, and then we're going to activate Land of the Dead again to get another 50, and we're kind of going to roll through the cooldown. Now to help with that, we're going to take the Crimson set, so this is going to give us extra CDR, it's going to give us extra resource cost reduction, and the extra CDR is going to be very helpful because it's also going to equate to more damage with the 3-piece. So pretty much gearing for a lot of cooldown. Now the Crispin Sentence, staple necro item, more damage against slowed enemies, triple this effect against anything frozen, so we're going to be using the normal Land of the Dead combo to dump out quite a bit of damage. Now the kicker to this build really is the Messerschmitt's Reaver in the cube. What this will do is whenever we make a kill, it will take one of our skills, pick it at random, and take a second off it. Now the main one we want to funnel stuff into is Land of the Dead Frozen Lands, because this will give us infinite corpse skills. So I'll show you in the Rift how it kind of works, but the idea is we're looking to try and get this cooldown and get it refreshed as quickly as possible so that we can spam the crap out of Corpse Explosion. Now we do also have bone armor on a cooldown, but because this isn't a secondary skill Corpse Explosion, this lasts the full 60 seconds, so you only have to do this once or twice during the Rift. It can be useful because it does offer a stun, so that's very good for defensive, so you might want to use it occasionally to just stun a mob or something like that. And also you can also stun and then hit with Corpse Explosion, and the stun procs to Crispin, so you know some of the Reaver procs will go into this, but the less you use it, the more go into Land of the Dead. Now we also have the Command Golem. This also is a fairly big source of the Reaver procs, but the idea preferably is you've got good density, you don't have to use this at all, and you just basically use Land of the Dead, it refreshes itself, you then pop it again, and you kind of go on that cycle of momentum. Now, Blood Rush Molting, this leaves a corpse behind, and it does also give us another kind of area to put these Reaver procs into, but what it does mean is that we've got teleport pretty much whenever we want, so that's kind of handy. It keeps the build a little zippy, even though we're not taking the move speed boots. Now we've got the Rogue on the character to make up the bonuses, so the 3-piece Crimson, 6-piece Inarius, and then we also have the Nems, basically just to increase progression. Obviously make sure we try and get poison on those if we can. Now I've played around with a lot of different variants. Corpse Explosion is pretty flexible. You can take, for instance, the Cold Rune. Doesn't do quite as much damage as Close Quarters. This deals about an extra 50% damage. But what the Cold one will do is it will freeze, so you always get that Crispin proc. You can then swap Land of the Dead off onto Shallow Graves and try and make it last a little bit longer. What I found though is the extra 2 seconds isn't that vital, and provided you've got Land of the Dead up, you will be making plenty of kills, and then you can get your frozen lands back. So I've just found that it's easier to get the kills with the harder hitting Corpse Explosion than with the slightly longer lasting Land of the Dead. And then I think the only rune we haven't really covered is Command Skeletons. We get the essence back with a passive, but basically we just activate this once and we activate it again whenever it drops off. Again, this is another hard CC because it will freeze an enemy in place, so again more Crispin proc for your Corpse Explosion. So you can just teleport, leave a corpse and blow it up, and it's kind of like starting a little fire. Once you kill one enemy, it'll then drop a corpse, and then you can just start blowing stuff up. And that's only really if you don't have access to Land of the Dead or you don't have access to your Command Golem. Passives wise, Blood is power, we're cooldown thirsty, we want cooldown, 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 so that kind of makes sense. Commander of the Risen Dead is going to give us 30% reduction time on the Golem, so that does help out because this is on a 45-second cooldown, so it is fairly lengthy, so taking some time off that is good. Final Service just in case something goes wrong, and then Dark Reaping is basically here for sustain, but also importantly it gets our essence back from Command Skeletons because we have no generator in the build. But I think that's pretty much how it works. I have tried some other combos. I've tried a Tragul's Corroded Fang, but obviously it's 200% multiplier, so only about half of the Jesseth. I've tried sticking Convention in and taking the Crimsons off. I've tried Ingeum and also an Offhand, which would give us a nice damage boost because it can roll with damage, which a shield can't. But what I found is basically this is just the maximum DPS that I can get into this, and as I say, it does allow us to do... oh, perfect. Right guys, so we're back after being unceremoniously dumped out of the PTR. I did try and record a Rift and I've been dumped out of that as well, so fingers crossed this actually works, but I think I was just running through the various options that we've got and I think I just about finished them. Just bear in mind, obviously you need to swap your element over if you do go for the cold variant rather than poison, and I think legendary gem wise, Bane of the Trap just makes sense, just flat damage. Gogok of Swiftness to get our attack speed up, but also more importantly to get our cooldown up, because obviously we get 1 stack of cooldown for each stack on Gogok. And then Bane of the Powerful just for a bit more damage. So let's see what Orange Jesus has in store for us. We'll do a 90 and I'll try and do my best to explain what's going on. So obviously we want density, that is definitely the key, and we just need to make sure we activate the skeletons, which has got that little gold bar on them now. And we just want to get up to the 15 stacks of the bone armor just as quick as we can. And as you can see, damage wise it's absolutely fine for 90, and the toughness is handled by that 90% damage reduction from the bone armor, and also quite a lot by the crimsons. It's just that extra layer really does help. Now the skeletons can be a bit clunky, you might just have to recast them. I don't know if that's the PTR lag. Don't quite remember them being this clunky off season. One thing to bear in mind guys is as far as the Messerschmitt's Reaver is concerned, it doesn't really matter whether you're killing like blue champs like this or whether you're killing little piddly trash. 1 kill is just 1 kill, so you know, big groups of like skeletons and little alien facehugger monsters, absolutely brilliant. Just all this stuff, just blow it up, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be, you know, it's not like an Ingeum. This lag, it's killing me. But as you can see, Land of the Dead comes back. These are the macabre stacks, and they get refreshed whenever Land of the Dead goes off. So I think maybe we'll try and keep this go, because this is like generally getting quite frustrating trying to record this, but you know, we'll just do the best we can. Obviously if you're not making kills, cooldown pile, perfect. It would be great to get the flavour of time in this build, but there just isn't space for it. As you can see, the skeletons, again, I don't know if this is PTR lag, why they're not jumping. They're supposed to jump like this, like they were doing then, from target to target, but obviously it is pretty big damage increase, and they do lock stuff in place for you as well, which is pretty good. But with a combination of the Land of the Dead, the golem pile of corpses, you know, it's you've got enough corpses. You can always just teleport and drop one down as well. And obviously the trick is you want to keep cycling Land of the Dead for the freeze, but also for the Johnstone stacks as well. You don't really want them dropping off. So this kind of floor is much better. Lots of enemies. Really weak ones, just blow them apart like paper, and get all your cooldowns completely reset. Because obviously if you just smash through 50 monsters, it's 50 seconds worth of cooldown. So obviously that kind of means that you really don't want to use your golem unless you have to. But obviously just from time to time, it's just going to be the case that you need to pop it. But obviously if you drop the GR level, this would be much quicker. This is Juggernaut. Juggernauts are obviously a problem, because just Necro just struggles with Juggernaut generally, because we can't get those Crispin procs. But because of the way the build works, and you get Land of the Dead back so quick, you don't have to kind of feel like you definitely got to skip them. So that's double Juggernaut on 90, so that's not too bad. But obviously it kind of depends on the situation. And we get Land of the Dead back just in time for the Guardian. Well, I've kind of cocked that up a little bit, but just about got away with it. So there you go guys, it would have been a bit quicker if it wasn't for the absolutely horrendous lag, but that is Inarius Corpse Explosion. You know, in terms of making the build for the season, it's not going to be that hard, because most of these items are fairly easy to get. The Jess of the Scythe is only one of 4, the Shield is one of only 4 in the loot pool, Reaver is one of only 4 two-handed axes, Grasp of Essence you can get at level 1, Crimson's is craftable, Rogue is gottable from bounty, so you've only really got your jewellery, which Crispins you want one anyway as a Necro, Johnstone, Wisdom of Kalan, and then Nems can be a bit of a pain in the butt to get, but Reaper's Wraps or something whilst you're waiting, Hellfire whilst you're waiting, you know, could well do you. But that's it guys, obviously very powerful speed build, looking forward to playing this on season, so I hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you soon for some more PTR gameplay. Take it easy, peace.